Okay. This is a sort of a necessary question for us to address, right? What is the state of tracking in the industry today? First-party cookies, third-party cookies, mobile attribution, whatnot. In spite of all the third-party cookie deprecation, the first-party cookie is somewhat stable. Okay, we're seeing stable. I saw stable results for all the clients I worked with. I would say that if you have, like, for example, if you're a client who's implemented a first-party cookie-based tracking solution where you take the UTM parameters, you do your own internal attribution, you support your affiliate partners through that, that's reasonably stable. Nobody's seeing a big deprecation in those attribution. So it feels like that's reasonably stable. It's going to stay stable for a period of time. Nothing's really coming at it. Okay. Now, Google Analytics is a special case. Google Analytics is the first-party cookie, but it's facing a lot of both technical challenges and regulatory challenges in the industry. Okay, so if you're relying on Google Analytics cookie, if you're using the Google Analytics log file, okay, it's to continue to use it, but understand that it might get destroyed. There is a world out there, there's a universe out there where GA gets kind of banned and a lot of the reporting gets like pulled out and you're left with not a lot of signal from GA, right? It's happening actually as we speak. A lot of the stuff is getting pulled out of GA as we speak, right? So what I would say is that build multipliers, build advanced attribution multipliers for GA. And now you can, as the attribution signal declines, you can just adjust the multipliers as you go. And then you can use the data as long and as much juice and entropy it will provide for you, okay? So that's a recommendation. If you're using GA, build an advanced attribution multiplier system for it. So if the signal declines, you can always adjust for it with multipliers over a period of time, okay? That's the first party side. Third party side, everybody knows there's a clock ticking, right? On third party cookies, it's going away in many cases, right? A lot of the classic double click cookie is more or less, everybody stopped using it directly. A lot of advancements in the industry on creating a unified ID and stuff like that, still work in progress in many places. What Facebook and the big platforms have introduced server-to-server pixels. So they have server-to-server pixels. I have seen really markedly different results when you implement Facebook server-to-server pixel versus using a third-party Facebook pixel directly on the site. So it is definitely something that I would recommend using. Okay, there's more angles to this we should discuss, but purely in terms of tracking strength, using a server-to-server pixel gives you the future proof that you really need. Okay, the pixel-based reporting is still very valuable. It's going to decline over time. There's no question about that. Okay, and what's also happening is that a lot of the platforms, when you provide last click attribution, it is understood that you saw a conversion, you saw an impression, you're connecting the two, that's last click attribution. Okay. Now, Facebook is a good example. They're adding statistical adjustments to the last click numbers. Okay, which means when they are reporting last click conversions, it's not just a deterministic match between conversion to impression. Now they're adding some statistical adjustments. They're estimating what the last click is because of the loss of signal. Okay, so it's becoming more and more juice being added to it. So you don't actually know how much of the conversion is deterministic anymore. And that's going to be the way the space goes. Everybody's going to add statistical adjustments to it because Apple's getting in the way and they're adding, like, preventing tracking of the cookie and the UTM parameters are all getting stripped away and whatnot. So more and more of the signals getting stripped away. And as the signals get stripped away, what happens? Attribution drops, CPA goes up. Investment in Facebook comes down, investment in Google comes down, right? So they don't want that. They want your investment to stay the same. They're saying, okay, you know what? We can only track so much of the conversions because of Apple. So we're going to just add an adjustment. It's their own multiplier they're adding into that, right? So it's happening as we speak. So I would say that accept the fact that the attribution is really less and less deterministic. So you add your own first-party currency that you will manage everything to. That way you can manage attribution signals weakening with your own first-party based measurement and reporting system. Okay. All right. This is the web system, situation. App is very similar. Okay. Third-party app measurement partners like Adjust, AppsFlyer, Kochava, I mean, if you are an app ecosystem, you probably felt a big sort of like bang in your head on iOS 14.5. A lot of the signals got taken away. Attribution fell significantly. Apple now is a true sort of attribution source for the entire industry, blah, blah. All of that is true. Now, same idea, attribution multipliers, advanced attribution multipliers is the answer for that. I think it's settled down. The attribution is settled down for app for the most part. It dipped significantly and it's kind of stable right now is what I'm hearing, what I've seen in market as well. But it's very hard to optimize based on MMP signals and all. So Karl, maybe you can speak to this. What are you seeing on 2B? 2B is an app.
Yeah,
right?
I mean, so there are a couple of things. We do use most of what you see in the first row there and have tested each of them out. The other thing, which is, new and emerging topic of interest, is server-to-server attribution. And that's if and when you actually do have email addresses for your customers. Right. In our cases, people do sometimes register to use Tubi, helps them save their preferences and this, that, and the other. So that's another area of interest. But kind of like I mentioned before, not all users on Tubi are required to put in their email address. And on top of that, where we advertise is not necessarily where people end up using the product. So that brings us to kind of a portfolio approach in terms of measurement.
You got it. So you have to go to some sort of multiplier system to get the entropy you need. There is, just like how we talked about server to server, in the website, even in the app side, there's something called, specifically in Facebook, something called offline conversion events. Okay, there's a type of like a pixel event. There's something called offline conversion event. I saw a bunch of clients. We in fact helped them to take their entire CRM file, upload that into Facebook as an offline conversion event to see if we can get more juice out of it. It's a little choppy. It's not the most perfect stable technology out there, but it's got a little bit more juice out of it than we would have gotten otherwise. So there's a few options on the server side and the offline side you can use. But the most part, the idea of using multipliers is more or less what you have to do to get some juice out of it. Okay. All right. Let me pause before I go into the next section. Anything about